How you doing today? This is Horace, a focus for Horace, frame by frame. Basically, what we're gonna do today, we have a great guest. We're about to meet her shortly. She's an entrepreneur. She has a business. Actually, we're going to talk about photography today. So she's a photographer. Um, Basically, we're going to talk about her photos, learn about a little about her, and then just talk it out. So I want to just get introduced to Miss Shanese Powell.
Hi, Horace. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad you're able to stay here and join us.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
That's great. That's great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's better weather outside, so I'm always better with when the weather is better.
Okay. All right. How are you dealing with the pandemic?
The pandemic is the pandemic. Just making the best of, a situation that is unavoidable. That's really the approach I take to it.
Okay, so you haven't let it knock you down, keep you down.
No, you can't let it. You have to keep going. You have to find innovative ways to let your business thrive and to find innovative ways to enjoy life still, despite the harshness of reality sometimes.
All right. What's the most creative thing you did in the pandemic to change and to adapt?
The most creative thing I've done in the pandemic.
Yes.
Uh, what is the most creative thing? I've continued to take pictures during the pandemic and have uh, been editing pictures in a certain way that would during the pandemic, one thing I did notice that was happening was this big acknowledgement of the Black community and how, how unfairly the Black community has been treated. So, what I've really focused on during the pandemic in a creative way is the society and what was happening in the society, right? With George Floyd and with Breonna Taylor. I was very passionate about those things. So I added that to my art. And so when I took pictures, I made it speak on those topics. And I also gave messages based on those topics.
That sounds great. And one thing happened during the pandemic, we had Black Lives Matter movement come along, and it kind of doubled the issues and the stress that's on people. And I'm wondering, as a
Yeah.
photographer, I was tempted to try to find out what's next show, the next presentation was happening in the street, and to actually take pictures. So have you ever just get the opportunity to go down and have a photograph at an event?
So actually, I will be honest with you, I really thought about doing that to go out and into the streets and when there were protests happening to go out there and take pictures there, but I didn't do that. I instead chose to stay within the four walls of my room. I would hear and see everything that was going on social media, and I would speak on those things using my social media platform. So, for example, I have a picture of my mom. I know my mom is, right here living with me. So I took a picture of her afro. I loved that picture. I don't know if I sent it to you, but it I took that picture to represent blackness, to celebrate blackness. And so with the Black Lives Matter movement going strong and me feeling very passionate about it during the pandemic, especially because of just everything that has been happening, I thought it was such an appropriate message to put out with just that image, right?
Yes, I understand that.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, for inspiration, what is this riots, rallies, was it hard to find inspiration, or was the drive there?
It was hard to find inspiration during the pandemic.
In general, was it hard to find inspiration during the pandemic? What kind of techniques do you have to increase your exposure and your creativity?
All right, so the inspiration that I get is really people because along with being a photographer, I'm a life coach. So one of the things that caused me to be a life coach was just a passion for people and just this real passion to see people live out their dreams and to live out their purpose and to fulfill that purpose. So that has always been my main inspiration. So I, through life coaching, inspire people to move towards their purpose in very practical ways. So we come up with steps doable small steps that they can take towards fulfilling their purpose. And then that's where the pictures would come in. There are some pictures that I have where they have a customized quote attached to the image, that's based on conversations that I would have with them. And I hope that those pictures would motivate them when they look at a picture of themselves with that quote beside their face, that they'll be motivated and reminded of what their purpose is and how to get there. So my inspiration has always just been people, and whatever their passion is and whatever their purpose is, to see them fulfill it.
All right, that's a great method, great and technique. I see it was creative, innovative, and I'm sure successful as a way of motivating your clients, to inspiring them with their vision and something that's good to live by, a quote or a saying that's good to live by. Um, we're glad to be able to sit down and talk. Right now, we're gonna put into a little break, a little announcement, and come back and get some of your photos.
All right.
All right, everybody, we're back. What we're gonna do, we're gonna sit down, analyze, be inspired by, and talk to Miss Powell about her photography. How you doing, Miss Powell? I'm not sure if what's coming up first, but we'll just talk about it and have a good time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, first photo, please. All right,
Ooh.
go
Yeah,
ahead. You
that's one
talk
of,
about that.
yes. So this is what I was talking about when I do life coaching, and I sit with my clients and I talk with them about what it is their goals are, and we sit and find out together, some practical steps we can take towards them achieving their goals. And so, based on what she's told me in the conversation, I wrote this customized quote here, right? And my hope is that, and of course, I took that picture too. So my hope is that she will always look at that and just be reminded of the strong, powerful woman she is, and that she is yet to become. This was my first teenage client, so it was a good challenge for me. I enjoyed that one.
She seems older and mature. How long
She's
was that?
she's so mature. I think by now she's probably 17. She's a very mature person, and she loves justice and fighting for women's rights. So I'm excited about her future and her passion, and I was excited about doing that with her.
Can we get technical for a moment?
Pardon?
Can we get technical for a moment?
A technical form on it?
Can we get technical for a moment?
Okay, yeah, sure.
All right, did you use Photoshop to get that picture done?
Absolutely. I
All
sure
right.
did use Photoshop because that's the only way I was going to be able to. Oh, well, that's the way I chose to do it. To put her name there and the quote right there, and to merge it with the image that is her face.
Okay. Do you use Lightroom when you take photos?
If I use what?
Lightroom, the program.
Yes, so I use Lightroom. I take the pictures through Lightroom first and just basically work on the coloring, how light I want it, how dark I want it, and uh, also just whatever kind of coloring I want to add to it. And then Photoshop is the app I use to get even more technical, right? So there's some airbrushing and there's addition of the words and all that good stuff.
All right. The company name is DPP. What's
Mm-hmm.
that stand for?
DPP stands for Dreams, Passions, Purpose.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long have you been developing that company?
This is my third year now. It's pretty new. Hmm.
All right. I
Yeah.
wish you the best. All
Thank
right. Can you do another photo?
Yes.
All right. Can you do that?
Ooh.
All right. That's very. I like the black and white, the monotone. Can we talk about that?
Yeah. So this was this was an intentional thing on my part in terms of the lighting. When I was taking the image, I wanted the light to really hit her body the way it is, and I know that when the model is right in front of the light like that, the best thing to do, in my opinion, is to put it in black and white. When the light directly hits her body that way, black and white, it gives a more powerful message, and it makes the image that much more impactful and powerful, in my opinion.
I like it a lot. It was
Thank you.
it's nostalgia. Honestly, I like it's like I like the chances you took. I think it turned out well.
Thank you. She's a great model. I enjoyed that.
Um, you have a question for you. When you have models, do you find that easier than people, or maybe just at an event and not really professional?
I find it easier, photographing models.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wouldn't say it's easy. I would say it's a different experience. When I'm photographing models, they know how to pose and all that good stuff. But if I'm doing someone who's not necessarily that comfortable around the camera, it gives me a good kind of challenge that I look forward to, because
Okay.
it gives me an opportunity to develop a relationship with my client, to make them comfortable in front of the camera, and to encourage them, let them know that you are as good as a model, even if you step in front of my camera for the first time. And so it's a different experience. I wouldn't say easier or harder, but it's a different experience that I like.
Okay. Do you have a mentor?
If I have a mentor
Yeah. Sorry.
in photography,
Yes.
I do. I wouldn't say. Would I say it's a mentor? I have a few people that I look up to, and I definitely am inspired by them. And I look through their photos and I get ideas, and I'm like, oh gosh, that's so cool. People do that with their cameras, what? And so I get ideas that way, and then I go and try it myself, right? So I think that by looking at some photographers that I follow on Instagram. Some of them I know personally, some I don't know personally. But by just interacting with their content, that in and of itself is mentorship to me, right? I mean,
Yes.
I'm looking forward to getting a mentor that I could have as my partner, who can really just like guide me all the more and all that good stuff. But to be honest, those who know personally, those photographers that inspire me, that I know personally, I reach out to them when I need to. I say, hey, what do you suggest in terms of this lighting equipment? What do you recommend? Right. So I reach out to them when I need to.
Okay. Do you ever desire to be somebody's inspiration? Take pictures. Do you ever want to get a reaction and just change it to another chain reaction, like dominoes? Is that something
Yeah.
that you would mind doing?
But I don't mind being someone else's inspiration. I think if that's to me just like something great that would happen if it does happen. But do I work towards being an inspiration? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. But if someone were to reach out to me and say, "Oh my gosh, you do inspire me," then I'd be very honored and I'd be happy about that. But I don't necessarily work towards being an inspiration when it comes to photography and life coach. I know I'm inspired by people, and I look to do my best, and I look to help people. And I want people to be inspired by themselves, because there's so much power in each individual that there's enough to be inspired by within yourself. You can be inspired by others, but you should know that you can be inspired by yourself too. And that is the basis of my business, and that's what I encourage people to do.
That's great. You mind me doing another photo?
Sure.
All right, leave this for you.
Yeah, this is the same model friend of mine in the black and white photo. So this is fun. I love playing around with lighting, and I love playing around with cheekbones. So I put the light right where you see the light hit her cheekbones. I intentionally positioned the light right there so that it would hit it and her neck too, to give you that powerful image. And I had that jacket is actually mine because she only had on the bustier or the bra on, the tan bra on. And I was like, you know what, let's make this into kind of a fashion type thing. Put on this jacket. And she did, and she rocked it really well. That was
All right.
fun.
Was that
Mhm.
in your studio?
No, that was in FD Studios. I rented FD
You rented?
Studios.
All right. Where's
Mhm.
FT Studios?
It's in Queens. I
Are you
usually
from
go
Queens?
there. No, I'm from Bronx.
Okay.
I'm from Bronx, but I went to Queens to get that photo shoot done.
All right. I'm so very curious what's your technique. What kind of camera do you use?
Canon.
Canon. Okay. What model?
Mm-hmm. Mark IV.
Mark IV. All right. The lighting. Did you use umbrella? How did you diffuse the light? How many lights you use? Yeah.
I use their lights on both sides, right? And it was, if I remember correctly, because they're the ones that provided the light bulb. Godox, the softbox,
Yes.
right? On the right side and the left side. But sometimes I would shift the lighting around. So the lighting that was on her right side, I pulled it closer to her and told her to lift her cheekbone towards the lighting.
Okay. That sounds great. You do some good work. I like talking about it. I like to watch it. All right.
Thank you.
You know another photo?
Sure. Ooh, that was when I was practicing night photography. I learned that night photography was a thing. It's it's definitely an idea I got from one of those photographers on Instagram that I follow that inspires me. This night photography is when you don't carry any lighting equipment with you, but you just use the lighting that comes from like a neon sign, right? And I put in front of the neon sign is what you see shining on the right side of her face, and then the lights that you see around her is this like Christmas light stuff I held in front of the camera frame, or the camera lens.
That's interesting. I like that photo.
Thank you.
Um, have you ever any formal training in photography?
Any?
Formal training.
No, I'm actually self-taught, and I've gone on YouTube many times to get some ideas, and I've done some research to figure out how to do a certain, like for example, to do the night photography, did research to find out how to get the image the way I wanted it to look. Recently, I started an online course on photography because it doesn't hurt to know, to get some more formal training on that.
I agree. I find that for myself personally, YouTube has helped. Reading has helped. I'm going out and using what I've read and learned helps, and
Mm-hmm.
just being observant and you
Yeah,
gotta just take to challenge yourself to be creative, to think outside of the box, and
for
just do different things.
For sure, for sure. It's so easy to get caught up in just learning a craft. Like you might, you go to school for photography, and you just get stuck in the classroom. You don't go out, and you don't know as much as the person who is self-taught that has never been in a classroom, because the person who's self-taught goes out and, you know, from mistakes they learn more and they just explore more and all that good stuff. So not to say that people who get formal training are not good at their craft. They're absolutely great at it. But I can speak for myself when I say that if I'm not careful, I'll get stuck within the four walls of a classroom. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that I took the route of, just allow myself to be self-taught. But now I'm going to mix it up with, and I'm currently mixing it up with some formal training. So that could be better.
All right. So it's good to improve yourself. Iron sharpens iron. It's good to when you're not actually working, sharp your axe. Be clever. Think outside the box, and you just use different things, different techniques to enhance your abilities and build on that. Did you ever find yourself taking pictures as a child? like a camera during Christmas time and birthday or picnics? Were you the kid with the camera?
Well, not as a child. It probably started when I was my interest in photography started as a teenager. I would say while I was in high school, I had a little digital camera that my aunt gifted to me, and I just found myself like taking in landscapes and just beautiful sceneries and wanting to capture that on a camera. And I think that's the first time I discovered, hey, I actually do like this photography thing here. And but I wasn't looking to take it seriously back then. It was just a hobby of mine.
Okay. Um, you ever thought about being a mentor to someone? Said you might be people to be their own inspiration. Could
Yeah.
you like sit down and actually be one on one with someone, talk to them about life, and not just photography? Would you ever think about doing that? Are you doing it?
Well, I guess through life coaching, I get the opportunity to be a mentor in a sense. Life coaching has afforded me that opportunity. Um, Outside of life coaching, not necessarily. If say someone shows up in my life that needs some mentorship, then I'll say yes. By all means. But am I looking to be a mentor? Actively looking to be a mentor? Not necessarily. I'm not against it though.
Okay. Can you see another photo?
Sure. Yay.
That's the same model,
Same
same
model.
same same outfit.
Yes.
What'd you change?
Not much. The same technique, really. The lighting still there on her cheekbone. The trick to this, to get her cheekbone to be so prominent, is her makeup. So I asked her to put a lot of highlight on her cheekbones, and there are some, and I put some of the highlights on her shoulders too, and on her neck. So when the light hits it, it makes it impactful. So it's the same technique, same technique.
How did you develop that technique?
How did I develop it? I think just over time, looking at different, you know, uh, contents that of photographers that inspire me, and I just get ideas. I think from that, and I really like to. I love playing with lighting. I love making it half dark, half light. I don't. I will be very honest with you. I don't like an evenly lit picture. I do it sometimes, but if the creative direction is totally left up to me, I am not going to go for a 100% fully lit all over the frame type of picture. I just love exaggerating only certain features of people's body parts, and that's why um, I use that technique. And so my preference for just exaggerating a certain part of your body, or just focusing on a certain part of your face or so, my preference just led me to really I guess be more intentional about where I put the lighting, and I guess that's how the technique got built.
I think you did something good with that. You got something going for you.
Thank you.
Um, you have to look. This is dark in a gold or rust color to your photos. You should use Photoshop and Lightroom.
Hmm.
Get technical. Like, see how you did that.
Yeah. So for Lightroom, just to work on lighting, the original picture was not necessarily this dark, right? But to get it the way I wanted it to be in lighting, I turn on the contrast a little bit. Simple stuff. I usually do very simple stuff in Lightroom. And then when I go to Photoshop is when I do more intense editing. So that's when, I try to, even though her makeup and the lighting were already doing a good job of highlighting her cheekbones, I did more in Photoshop to make it even more prominent and for her shoulder too.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Now, do you go on social media? I don't even the counts, but how much effort do you put in posting on a daily or weekly or on a monthly basis? What's
So
your measurement like?
I try to post at least twice a week,
Okay.
consistently twice a week. Yeah, it may not be the same day and same time of every week, but I try to post twice a week to keep my name in people's minds, right?
Okay, that sounds great. So
Mm-hmm.
we're getting towards the end of the show, but wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about your future projects, how people can find you, and where you maybe in this soon.
Right. So, you know, I just really want to continue what I'm currently doing, which is to merge life coach and photography in a very creative way that will benefit people and cause them to discover what their purpose is. To ask someone what their purpose is a very existential question, and it comes across very intimidating at times. And I understand that, but I want people through my life coach and photography program to understand that it's doable, that you can come to discover what your purpose is. You can come to discover what your passion is, and you can find a job out of your passion, right? It's not just a dream that stays in your mind, but it can become your reality. I'm a firm believer of that, and I'm living that to show you that it's possible. And I want people to just come to realize that they too can do it through DPP, right? You can find me on Instagram, DPP, the number 2, life, right? If you want to contact me through my email, it's dpptolife@gmail.com. All that information is going at the bottom of the screen. But yes, that's really it. On Facebook too is DPP to Life. Same thing, Instagram, Facebook, and my email. So you can DM me, contact me in that way. But yes.
So Miss Shanese Powell, I'm glad you stopped by. I love talking about your photos. It was different. I got to learn something, see something nice. Basically, I'm glad you're here. This is Focus on Horace, frame by frame. You talked to Miss Shanese Powell. She's doing some great things. Check our link out. Check my link out. I'm at HoraceBakerPhotography.com. H Baker Photo at Instagram. I can be reached at 929-314-3955. So this is the end of the show. We're going for now, not forever. You can say bye to Miss Shanice Powell. I look for her links. Okay, guys?
All right. Thank you.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I had something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.